All right, today we're going to explore something really fascinating, an ancient concept for an ideal society. It's called Ram Rajya. And our guide for this journey is an academic paper called The Concept of Ram Rajya in Ramayana, an Analysis. So let me ask you something. What does a perfect government really look like? I mean, it's a huge question, right? Philosophers, leaders, pretty much everyone has debated it for centuries. Well, today, we're going to look at a blueprint for one that's literally thousands of years old. And this blueprint is called Ram Rajya, which basically translates to the Empire of Rama. Now, according to the paper we're looking at, it's defined as a model of good governance where there's just no hunger, no poverty, no discrimination. You know, a society built on truthfulness, nonviolence, and humanism. Sounds pretty amazing, doesn't it? Okay, so where did this whole idea even come from? Well, we're about to explore this ancient utopian blueprint, which actually originates from the revered Hindu epic, the Ramayana. And you know, the Ramayana itself offers some incredibly vivid descriptions. What you're looking at right now is an original Sanskrit verse from a part of the epic called the Yuddha Kanda. And the feeling it's meant to evoke, it's just this sense of deep, profound peace and security. And here's what that beautiful verse actually translates to. There were no widows to grieve, no wild creatures to dread, and no diseases to fear while Rama ruled the land. Wow. I mean, that paints a picture of just absolute well-being, doesn't it? This isn't just about political stability. It's a vision of a society that's totally free from fear and suffering. So you gotta wonder, how is a state like this even maintained? Well, the answer seems to lie in the fundamental pillars of its society. We're talking about both the people and their environment. So let's break down what life was supposedly like. The source paper points to some incredible things. First, everyone was described as ecstatic and virtuous. Get this, people were said to live for thousands of years, completely free of disease and sadness. All the citizens just did their duties and they were free of greed. No one lied. Everyone was focused on morality. And even nature itself was in perfect harmony. The forests, the rivers, the oceans, all bountiful and peaceful. So what was the glue holding all of this together? Well, according to the text, it all came down to the 4 pillars of Dharma, or what you could call righteous conduct. And these were truth, purity, compassion, and charity. Think about that. These weren't just some nice ideas. They were basically the moral operating system for the entire society. Okay, so we've got a virtuous population and a harmonious environment. That's great. But what about the leadership? I mean, how did the government actually function to keep this ideal state going? Well, this really puts things into perspective. The source paper draws a sharp contrast between the ideal ruler of Ram Rajya and some of the challenges it sees in modern governance. So on one side, you have this ideal ruler who cares for all citizens like a parent, who actually consults the people on big decisions and works selflessly for the public good. And then on the other side, the paper points to modern issues, things like self-serving leaders, wealth being limited to just a few elites, and social justice feeling more like a slogan than a reality. It's a really stark difference when you see it laid out like that. Now, you might think this ancient concept just stayed in the past, right? Well, not at all. It was famously reinterpreted by one of the most influential figures of the 20th century. Let's dive into Mahatma Gandhi's secular take on it. Okay, check this out. Back in 1929, writing in the journal Young India, Gandhi said this: "The ancient ideal of the Ramayana is undoubtedly one of true democracy in which the meanest citizen could be sure of swift justice." So for him, this wasn't about a religious state. He saw it as a timeless blueprint for a truly just society. And just to be super clear on this point, the source paper really emphasizes that Gandhi's vision was explicitly secular. He imagined a government that created the conditions for peace and progress, and that ensured equal rights for everyone, from the prince to the pauper, as he put it. For him, it was all about the spirit of good governance, not any particular religious affiliation. So how does this concept resonate today? Let's trace its presence in modern India, because it is popped up in some pretty fascinating ways. The source paper gives us a few interesting examples. Back in the 1950s, a political party was actually formed called the Ram Rajya Parishad, and its goal was to revive this old order. Fast forward to today, and there's a town called Orcha, where Rama is still considered the official ruler. And according to reports mentioned in the paper, there's reportedly no crime there. The paper also draws a connection between the political slogan Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, which means together with all, development for all, trust of all, and the core vision of Ram Rajya. So, all of this really brings us back to the central question that the paper itself raises. Is an ideal state like Ram Rajya even possible today? Interestingly, the authors don't just give a simple yes or no. Instead, they suggest a practical path forward. They argue that if the directive principles that are already in the Indian Constitution, the ones focused on social order, justice, and welfare, were fully implemented, that could bring modern society a whole lot closer to this ancient ideal. And in the end, the paper brings it all back to individual responsibility, using that famous quote from Gandhi, "Be the change you want to see in the world." It suggests that maybe this ancient blueprint for a perfect society isn't just about what our leaders do, but it's about what we, as people, choose to become. That's a pretty powerful thought to end on.